Hello and welcome back to Retrospective. We're going to be looking at all the X-Men games. First up this time is the Arcade Beat 'em Up Classic. Take it away, Jason.
Hey everyone, I'm Jason Heine, and today I'm going to be talking about the amazing side-scrolling beat-em-up X-Men, released by Konami in 1992 for the arcade. When it comes to beat-em-ups, you have some choices in the arcade, but when it comes right down to it, it's all about that X-Men. Depending on the cabinet that you find out there in the wild, it will support from 2 to 6 players. Players including Cyclops, Colossus, Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, and Dazzler. At the time of the game's release, the movement of the characters was something to be desired. Up, down, left, and right did give it a nice three-dimensional feel. It's a nice, quick pick-up-and-play type of a game, with having an attack button, jump button, and a mutant power button. Punch, kick, and use your mutant power, which of course defeats multiple enemies on the screen, but be careful, using this is very effective, however, it does take off health points. The arcade cabinet itself did come in several different flavors. Now, of course, depending on how lucky you are out there in the wild, you're going to find games ranging from 2 players all the way up to 6 players. The most common is kind of a midway styled cabinet featuring 4 players, 1 screen. The 6-player version of this game, although rare, it is out there. I know at a lot of conventions out there like Comic-Con, Portland Retro Gaming, Seattle Retro Gaming Expos, they usually have this cabinet hanging out there. The overwhelming popularity of this game is a complete contributor to the game's longevity. With over 20 years being a big contender in the beat-em-up scene, Konami decided that they were going to release this on the PlayStation Network and Xbox 360 Live Arcade. And so gamers did rejoice December 14th, 2010, as it was released on the PlayStation Network and a day later on the Xbox Live Arcade. And what an amazing release that it was. Of course, due to some licensing issues, they had to recast some of the voice acting, but other than that, the game is exactly intact and is arcade perfect. And we now get some amazing new school features like drop-in local and online multiplayer with up to 6 players, as well as custom matchmaking, adjustable difficulty, and players can now choose between the USA and Japanese versions of the game. And if that wasn't good enough, on June 2nd, 2011, Konami then released the game on the iTunes App Store for iOS devices as well as in the Android marketplace. If you're looking for a fun beat 'em up with multiple players on old school or even new school platforms, XMen Arcade all the way.
After the classic beat 'em up came Spider-Man and X-Men Arcade's Revenge, which was released onto the Mega Drive and the SNES in 1992, and was then later ported to the Game Gear and Game Boy. This marks as the first X-Men game to have a different character in it this time, X-Men, which is of course Spider-Man. Along with Spider-Man, you can play as Storm, Wolverine, Cyclops, and Gambit. In the first level, players control Spider-Man, who must use his spider senses to disarm several bombs located throughout the exterior. After the player completes the level, Spider-Man learns that the evil Mastermind Arcade has kidnapped Storm, Cyclops, Wolverine, and Gambit. The player must successfully complete each character's level in order to get control of Spider-Man in the final level against Arcade. Each person's level is a little bit different. In Storm's level, you play through an underwater maze where you must find your way through, and while in Gambit's, you just need to run. After completing each stage, the player controls each hero as they fight in a similarly designed mini-levels themed after the quote-unquote behind the scenes of Murder World. The last level takes place inside of a large room where Arcade chases Spider-Man back and forth in a large arcade-shaped robot until Arcade is defeated. The next X-Men game, aptly titled X-Men, was released on the Sega Genesis. X-Men takes place in the Danger Room, a training area for the X-Men inside the X-Mansion. A virus transmitted via satellite has infected the Danger Room, disabling control and safety limits. Once the virus is eliminated, the X-Men discover that Magneto is behind the computer virus. Dun dun dun! In X-Men, only Gambit, Nightcrawler, Cyclops, and Wolverine are available for play. Each character can jump and use various unloaded weapons, i.e. punch, kick, and a superpower which has a usefulness limited by a mutant power bar similar to a life meter, making the player rely more on standard attacks. The mutant power bar would slowly regenerate when depleted, and when switching characters in mid-game, would revert to the status of the next character's mutant power bar from the last use. All the X-Men do exactly what you want them to do, which is awesome. Cyclops shoots things, Gambit uses his bow staffs and throws cards, and overall X-Men is one of the really first home great X-Men game. However, X-Men is brutally hard, as cited on IGN's 15 really hard games, saying, quote, unfairly placed enemies, ridiculously annoying jumps, and near impossible to beat bosses. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. We here at the Overshield want to say thank you to Jason the TheEmuReview for coming on to Retrospective. If you want to see more of his work, go ahead and give him a nice subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and we will all see you next time.